affirmative, Chris, has the greater burden of proof, according to books about debate. That is why Chris gets to go first. All I have to do is create enough doubt about whether golf is a sport or whether golfers are athletes. For example, if I allow golf may be a sport, but raise enough doubt about whether most golfers are athletes, the resolution deserves to be defeated. Or if I allow that most golfers may be athletes, but raise enough doubt about whether golf is a sport, the resolution also deserves to be defeated. Key to this debate is the idea of logical fallacy, a fundamental error in reasoning. When a logical fallacy is identified, its argument is almost automatically disallowed from a debate. These logical fallacies have fancy Latin names, but I will speak plainly about 4 relevant logical fallacies. The first logical fallacy is that of circular reasoning. Folks ask me, isn't this debate simply a matter of looking up the definitions of sport and athlete? No. Definitions of sport often say it is any activity pursued by athletes. Definitions of an athlete often say they are anyone who participates in a sport. Simply applying dictionary definitions leads to the classic logical fallacy of circular reasoning. The second logical fallacy is an appeal to popularity. I saw a poll in which 75% of respondents agreed that golf is a sport. However, at one time, a majority of people also believed that slavery was okay. That did not make it so. A third logical fallacy is an argument from authority. For example, some claim golf must be a sport because it's in the Olympics. Set aside the fact that the Summer Olympics have been held 30 times, but golf has only been included 5 times. The Olympics has also included many events that were not sports, including painting, hot air ballooning, and even poodle clipping. The International Olympic Committee is even considering adding video games. The IOC may be an authority about marketing and making money, but it is not an authority about what is or is not a sport. A fourth logical fallacy is overgeneralization. For example, is the assertion, birds fly, true? About 0.5% of birds do not, in fact, fly. And I can assure you that there are way more than 0.5% of golfers who are not athletes. For example, I am a golfer, but not an athlete. If we were using slides, I'd have just one photo, a 300-pound professional golfer named John Daly, winner of 2 major golf championships, riding at a golf court, a beer in one hand and a cigarette in the other. Do you recall ABC Sports Superstars? It featured 10 top athletes competing in 10 sports other than their own. It was held almost 30 times. Not only did no golfer ever win, no golfer ever even competed. Folks who argue golf is a sport typically argue it involves physical exertion, is competitive, and requires skill. Regarding exertion, golf burns far fewer calories than football, basketball, tennis, or soccer. And that's if you walk and carry clubs. In 2001, the Supreme Court ruled that walking is not an essential part of golf. Playing golf while riding a cart burns as little as only 1/10 of the calories as traditional sports. Regarding competitiveness, golf, as most players play it, is about being with friends, enjoying the beauty of the game, exercise, and personal challenge. I play 2 or 3 times a week. My regular golf partners and I typically do not keep score. When I do keep score, I am much more interested in whether I am improving than whether I am beating someone. My golf instructor, who was a golf pro for 8 years and then taught many thousands to golf, emphasizes that golf is fundamentally about competing with yourself, not beating others. Yes, golf is competitive, but not in the sense supporting the resolution. What about professional golf and golfers, you say? The resolution reads, golf is a sport and golfers are athletes, not professional golf is a sport and professional golfers are athletes. Finally, regarding skill, skills aren't skills unless they can be consistently repeated. Of the several hundred golfers who have won a major championship, almost 2/3 never won again. Luck influences golf in a way that does not affect traditional sports. The Encyclopedia Britannica states, rarely, if ever, is an ace in tennis, a 3-point bucket in basketball, or a pitch strikeout in baseball affected by wind, a wet or bumpy surface, or a freakish happenstance of nature, of which routinely affects golf and who wins and loses. In that 2001 Supreme Court decision, Justice Stevens wrote, "Golf is a game in which it is impossible to guarantee that an individual's ability is the sole determinant of outcome." Why do so many golfers, such as old men like me, insist golf is a sport? The answer is self-esteem. Being an athlete is a high-status position in society. If golf is a sport because athletes play it, then believing golf is a sport supports our belief that we are athletes. We are predisposed, biased, and unduly influenced to believe golf is a sport and we are athletes. That alone should make the intellectually honest suspicious of this debate's resolution. What I have said so far may lead you to believe that I think golf is not, in some sense, good enough to qualify as a traditional sport. You'd be wrong. No sport relies on an honor system to the degree that golf does. 100 years ago, at the U.S. Open, the famous Bobby Jones accidentally slightly moved a ball while smoothing some grass near it. No one else saw it. No spectators, no officials, no other golfers. The only other being who observed his infraction was God. Jones called a penalty on himself and thereby lost the tournament. Compared to other sports and psychological studies, golfers show that they are much more ethical and moral regarding rules and sportsmanship. What other sport relies so completely on an honor system? What other organized system of human behavior so emphasizes such a thing? Religion. Ultimately, I do not argue that golf is a mere game and therefore undeserving of qualification as a sport. Instead, I argue that golf is so completely different from and better than traditional sports that any traditional definition of sport is undeserving of getting to include golf as an example. In fact, I suggest a resolution for a future debate. Golf is a religion, and we golfers are its believers.